A dawn of a new age could be approaching today. Vancouver Titans sitting at 0-13 here on the 14th of August. Their opponent, the Paris Eternal, well, maybe it's the Vancouver Titans. Maybe they're opponents themselves in this series, in this season, but they've been looking quite good over the last couple of maps. Is whether they can actually find that elusive first win. The Paris Eternal wanting to shut it down.
Hey, in some cultures, 13 is a lucky number. So maybe this is the time for the Vancouver Titans to actually end up getting a win. But I think it's still going to be a tough match. I think both of these teams have the right pieces there. It's just about how they end up interacting with each other.
I don't want to curse it or anything, but it's August 14th, right? And Vancouver Titans is 0-13.
Oh.
They would be 0-14 if they lose today on the 14th of August. Pretty weird.
So
not sure if that was planned.
Not a golden birthday, but like, kind of similar concept. Oh no.
No, it's okay. Look, the Preds, apart from Zoe, were behind the Vancouver Titans, including the fans out there by the look of it. All the pick'ems voting for the Vancouver Titans. Not all of them, but the majority was voting for the Vancouver Titans. They added King in. Matt was talking about how King was tweeting that he felt a little bit nervous going in, so hopefully those nerves have washed away somewhat. And there's the starting roster for today. King already there, Aspire, Mira, Masa, and Aztac.
Yeah, I mean, I think King is like the person that everybody is looking at right now. I actually think he had a fantastic debut this weekend. I just felt like he was slotting into the team so well, and I know he felt a little disappointed in his debut performance, but I hope that this is a match that can give him a bit more confidence as well as the practice that has been leading up to this point. King is just going to be that piece that the Titans really need, and I think he's playing with the team well, which is such a big deal in this meta.
I mean, if you look at yesterday, or the other day, sorry, when the Titans took on Toronto, they ended up full capping New Queen Street, something we don't see all too often. It was an extremely close game against the Toronto Defiant, and a game that I think a lot of people nearer in the end of it were like, oh my god, Titans could actually win this. Like, it is very possible. It came down to an unbelievable, like, heart-stopping moment on Oasis. But now their opponents, the Paris Eternal, well, they've had some new pieces added this year, and they started out quite hot, Rose.
They did, and I think that for the Paris Eternal as well, I want to give them more credit. I know that this might be disrupting a bit of what the desk has set up, but I think that Zoe might be onto something in terms of, like, Dove, Wub, these are two players that really can play some of their best heroes in this meta. And then alongside the long-standing synergy that exists between the other European players on the roster, like Vestola, Dredro, and Khan, this is a team that could play together. It's just kind of like whipping themselves into shape of like, all right, we gotta stick as a team, like follow the comms of our leader. Like, that's really the recipe for success of this team. And yeah, maybe keeping Khan alive a little bit more, but that's a whole team effort right there. And it's one that I think the team that they played against really had looked at as kind of like, well, this is our target focus, knowing that the Brigida is so important.
Yeah, our first map being Oasis as we jump on to Control. Yeah, keeping Khan alive is going to be an imperative for the Paris Eternal. And honestly, Rose, I think you can compare this day to, what, the discovery of fire, to the Roman Republic's formation in 509 BC. Just maybe. It's going to change history regardless, maybe for the good, maybe for bad. But if one thing is for certain, it's going to be historic and it's going to be bloody.
Is going to be historic as well, and I love that we're kind of kicking things off on Oasis. You know, Jazzy had just talked about how Oasis was really, really close there for the Titans, and maybe they're able to use a little bit of the lessons they learned on that final map to be able to start the series off on the right foot. But, you know, I think that we're going to end up seeing the same compositions that we've seen so far out of both of these teams. Mostly, I'm looking at whether or not we see the Sojourn versus the Ashe. It's been mostly the Sojourn, I think, for a lot of the Western teams. But that Genji as well, King and Wub, pay attention to where they are in relation to the rest of the team, because that's either going to be a setup for success or a setup for failure in these team fights. They gotta stay with
here it is. Vancouver Titans, Paris Eternal with a win between them this season. Can Titans finally clutch out that elusive first win? It's been a year and 8 days since their last win, all the way back in 2021 against the Boston Uprising, and it was a 3-0. Aztec starting out strong though with a kill onto Vestola, a speed boost to the back, and the supports taking down the Eternal, and Titans will find the first cap.
Yeah, there you go. That's what the Titans were looking for. And now that we can see Aspire getting set up onto the high ground, maybe that's something that is available to the Titans if they want to utilize that. But they're also going to play this poke game, which is going to be utilizing these corridors that exist towards the point in order to just make sure they're getting as much poke as possible, or just a pick.
Yeah, you take those any day of the week. Spire's been such an asset to the Titans. It's hard to speak about the Titans without picking up how good her Spire has been, both when he was on the Toronto Defiant and on the Titans now. His Sojourn looking crazy good, and his value and his ability to pick people is really second to none. Vestola trying to charge towards Aspire, but look at that, the Vancouver Titans, beautiful comms and target focus onto Vestola. He really had nowhere to go. I wonder where Khan and Drijo were in that small little skirmish. Webb ends up going down at the very end of it, so it's going to give King enough time to get back to the point. 50% for the Titans on the first round.
It's really good for them as well because they haven't had to use any ultimates to be able to make these team fights go in their favor. So that means for these final few, the Titans are going to have a lot of assets that they can pull on in order to take these fights. Aspire as well, just doing so much damage. Going to be one of the first ults on the board here for the Titans.
No one's really looking at him either. You've got to shut down the carry. Aztec is going to charge towards Dove, hit him with a shield bash as Aspire was there to help him finish him off. Overclock online for Aspire as the Vancouver Titans chasing the Paris Eternal away. This is absolute domination right now from Vancouver.
They look so good right now, and once again, yeah, they absolutely can here. Get aggressive. They've got the ults to do it. Whether it's going to be Aspire's Overclock or King's Genji Blade, I still cannot believe it's the DPS ults that we're going to see online first, Jaws.
Yeah, Paris Eternal with not earned ults. I mean, Drijo's got his sound barrier coming up at 3%. Khan's got that rally, but now it's OT. Drijo finally gets it online, but is going to have to use it to counter something. The overclock comes out from Aspire as the rally gets thrown in by Khan as Vancouver Titans use both their supports ult as King pulls the blade. He's already found one reset off of Dove. Time is ticking down for the Paris Eternal as they still need to touch. Both DPS from Paris now dead. King is shut down, but it's now Vestola, the one Finn to try and save them all. But a massive rampage from Mirror executes them all. The Vancouver Titans will take round number 1.
Drijo getting that sound barrier online right at the right time looked so clutch, but the way that the Titans played around that to allow some of that overhealth to expire before going in and trying to clean up shop was really impressive. And then you saw Mirror as well. Just the last 3 members of Paris Eternal were set up from Mirror to knock them down with that rampage. And so clean round win for the Titans. Let's see what happens on City Center, as we're gonna see more of the same here, but maybe Dove does pick this Ashe. We saw the Ashe a little bit from Dove the other day, and the Ashe versus the Sojourn is always an interesting one just because of how those cooldowns end up playing with the rest of the team, and in fact looks like Dove will stick to that Ashe.
Who gets to the mid first? So it looks like both teams fairly even. Ashe for Dove, that Dynamite landed on all 5 members of the Titans, but Vestola pushing a little bit quicker than the rest of his team had hoped, it felt like there. They do trade Aspire, but now the Vancouver Titans don't really have a lot of damage. They're going to have to rely on King getting these resets. Already, Khan has been isolated, and the objective unlocks. And the Vancouver Titans, once again, pushing back Eternal.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, just everybody on the Titans is playing together as this tight-knit group. And for the Eternal, I think it's been very difficult for them to try to find an opening. Dove, in fact, is going to just get off the Ashe immediately. You can see that DPS charge that he accumulated will roll over somewhat onto the Sojourn. So at least he's not too far behind Aspire right now in terms of ult charge.
All right, they spot Mirror overstepping a bit, commanding shout to save the Junker Queen, and Aspire finds 2 off the back of that small little push. Paris Eternal once again pushed all the way to their spawn. That castle is truly crumbling right now.
it's been really tough. I mean, every single pick that Aspire gets just delays the clock even further and resets Paris before they can go in. Those disruptor shots as well. I mean, look at that, Jaws. Speak it into existence. It's gonna happen time and time again if Paris can't, you know, they don't have shields to play behind.
Yeah, they don't have shields, they don't have health. Look, Aspire needs to be shut down. Like, you can't keep letting him get away with this. Eternal with 60%, they're going to have to fight back somehow, but Aspire used that overclock super early. A beat from the Titans, in fact. They just want to go ham. They're going to go in, touch the spawn maybe. Master gets the better of Dredro and the little Lucio 1v1, and Aspire cleans 2. The Vancouver Titans, 75%. They got the rally. They got Blade coming up. Rampage not far away from them either.
Yeah, I would have said that that sound barrier was maybe a little overzealous to be able to secure that team fight, but knowing what else the Titans are coming up with for this final fight, you know, Paris, they do have both support ultimates, but let's hope they don't layer them on top of each other.
Oh, there's the Blade. Nice dash away from Aztec, and a flail too. Whoop, almost had the kill onto Aztec. Aztec using that rally pretty late, wasn't in the front line, so the majority of his team couldn't get that over health, and the Paraiso Eternal in OT managed to win that fight, the first one of this series thus far, and they do find a cap.
Oh my gosh, Dredro just got so aggressive that Aspire was able to take him out before getting taken out himself. Paris, though, they were able to use their ultimates to capture the point, but not before Titans got 99%. They just need to flip it back, and all they really utilized in that last fight was the rally, so the Blade and the Rampage are both still on the table against the sound barrier.
King. Rampage hits 2. Dredro counters with the sound barrier. Both those ults quite large in the grand scheme of things. King's not able to follow up because of all the overhealth. Neither's Mirror because of that beat. The Spy still kills Kant somehow. And now Wub's in trouble. King executes his like for like, and the Paraiso Eternal still struggling to hold on to this point. A Rampage is going to end Master, and now it's just Aztec to hold it down for the Titans. Aspire still doing Lord's work on the point. The Stolen Balls, Dove dead. OT now ticking through. The Vancouver Titans setting this point up just for Eternal to touch for, what, a brief moment. Now OT's coming down, and Aspire unleashing the overclock. The Vancouver Titans with one map under their belt already.
Incredible stuff from the Titans. That was just so clean. And it was also kind of satisfying to hear the voice line of the Sojourn saying like, "This ends now." And then the map did end. I don't know. I found that very satisfying.
They can use in almost any situation, I feel like.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Just ending.
I mean, look, the Paraiso Eternal didn't put up a good enough fight, apparently. You gotta kill Aspire. That's the aim of the game. He found so many early picks on the Sojourn. He's been so good. Can the Titans bring it home? A very definitive map number 1. We're going on to our next game mode just after this break. Don't go anywhere. Quite an assertive win over the Paris Eternal as the Titans start off the series 1-0. Oasis was a clean sweep, pretty much, Rose. 99-0 on the first round. A little bit. Paris got a little bit more done in the second round, but still weren't able to clutch back and take us to a round number 3. We're going to Paraiso as our next map. It's going to be hybrid. And yeah, what can you say, really? I mean, Aspire kind of carrying on the Sojourn. So many early picks.
Yeah, I think this is actually going to be even more difficult for the Paris Eternal to deal with if they cannot shut Aspire down. That needs to be a primary focus for them. But I think the Sojourn also adds in an extra level of difficulty to be the primary target focus when you know that the Sojourn has so much mobility as a part of her kit. Now, Paraiso in particular, the defense or the offense, like whichever way you look at it here, the Sojourn just has so many nice angles, and the buildings themselves can also make it really difficult to approach the Sojourn. So I think that this is going to be a bit of a struggle here for Paris.
Well, we'll say, like you said at the very top of the show, Rose, you know, maybe Zoe is onto something. They've got a lot of tools that they can work with. It's just making sure they all work together in harmony to produce a well-oiled machine. And we did see, I think the devs touched on it a little bit too, but Khan is Zenyatta at the beginning of the season was exceptional, and a lot of the times one of the reasons why the Paris Eternal were doing well, despite their scoreline, of course, of 1-12, they were still performing quite closely with a lot of decent teams, you know, and Khan was a main factor in that. He's just not found the same success on the Brig just yet.
Well, I think the other thing about the Brigitte that's very different is that you're not going to see these big flashy plays coming out from the Brig. A lot of her utility comes from being able to play in this balled up group of people to get that Inspire healing and make sure also that she can hand those cookies over to something that might be a bit more squishy, like the Widowmaker, which is going to end up turning back over to some type of hit scan. And the Genji as well, of course, as a primary target for those health packs.
All right, let's see how Paris Eternal want to defend this. Looks quite split right now. Dove's taking a fair bit of damage. Luckily, he didn't get pulled off the high ground. And it's all about Aspire, find the picks. And there you go, once again. Hits a railgun on Dredro, who's trying to wall ride the rest of his team. And, well, now just a simple 2v3 underneath the bridge. Well, it was a Brig and a Genji versus a Brig and a Sojourn with a Lucio to help. There's the clean. Paris Eternal not quite being able to hold that forward spawn, I suppose, or not forward spawn, forward position past the point for too long as the Vancouver Titans now start their cap.
I think that forward positioning is also really risky when you're not really sure the timing yet of this map to be able to rotate back to the point, but I do think it requires a pretty quick rotation, and sometimes if you're not able to get that pivot, then you can get punished by having one of your team members isolated before you're able to get back to the point. So now Paris, you can see them taking a bit more of a forward positioning on the streets phase, where they are ready around this first corner, which is a very strong defensive position when you know that Wub on the Genji has all of these different buildings to climb around, and then Dove, of course, can get these really nice dynamites over the team.
Astola stepping up to Mirror. Oh, Aspire's first one to go down instead this time. And there's a rally from the Titans. They march on forwards. They are still down a player, but the spawn is pretty close, so Aspire will have to come back in just a moment's notice. And in fact, a rally for Khan. Maybe King was just pressuring out the backline enough for Khan to use that ability. Not sure. The Vancouver Titans more than happy just to wait this overhealth out. As you can see it eventually fading away. Dove has only just a little bit of that left, and now it was basically a complete reset there with both rallies being popped, and now it's on Aspire and Dove to find initial picks. Already King sending word pretty low as he pulls the blade as the beat has been forced. King actually just gets a solo dash onto Dove. No health packs available, maybe, I'm not sure. Dredro earning the beat at the very end of the fight. And Aspire only using the overclock as the DPS ults, but they end up using the beat to win it out. Again, quite an even trade across the board, but the Paris Eternal, importantly here, have that beat for this next corner.
They do, but then you look at the other side of things where Mirror does have that Rampage coming online, and that Mirror with that Dragon Blade can really make quick work of things. And so it depends on the timing of this sound barrier. If you're able to get that overhealth, and also, woohoo, sheesh.
How does he do it? What is he cooking? Paris Eternal still need to touch that point. Vestola's going pretty low. There is a Brig in there with a little bit of help for him. But Dreja ends up just using that beat. Mirror with a two-man anti from the Rampage, and now Vestola is cut down. He was 5% away from a Rampage of his own, and once again Aspire just sitting on the high ground, just getting pick after pick after pick. The Vancouver Titans end up capping the second point with 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go.
That is such a huge time bank, and poor Khan is just isolated. It's going to be a huge stagger, and without that Brigida, you really don't have the ability to just get in there and get aggressive, so this forward positioning has to be completely foregone. Paris Eternal really do have to set up on the high ground now. And you can still see Aspire finding these quick angles. Dove has already sussed that out, but is it enough to be able to get him out of there?
Oh, there's the Rampage. It's 3. Can the overhaul build up in time? Aztag, luckily enough, survives the axe swing, but King just cutting people up in the front. Both supports in his sights, knocked down. And the Paris Eternal now with just Vestola and Wob on the point have to deal with Marsa, Aztag, and Aspire. 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Aspire's on height. There's a beat available for Vancouver. And the Paris Eternal with their ult bank looking pretty bad.
I mean, Wub could maybe get this Dragon Blade online, but you're right. This looks like it's going to be a struggle for Paris to be able to sustain through. They're going to take this corner positioning, but look at the Disruptor shot.
Oh, again. Nice beat. Tempo setting for Vancouver Titans. They want to push Paris Eternal all the way back. Wub's 10% away from that Blade Rose. I don't think he's going to get it in time. Aspire's already killed 3, maybe more. Aztag steals one of those kills, but the payload is still making its way to that final point. 3 checkpoints and 3 minutes and 3 seconds in the time bank. What a steamroll from Titans.
That was so good for them, and now this is where I feel like Paris is going to struggle a little bit, because as good as Aspire was getting these opening picks and just continuing to shut down the Paris Eternals defense, now that Vancouver Titans are on the defense and Aspire can get set up on that very first point, I just foresee quite a few first picks in our future. As long as, you know, Paris maybe can hide behind the buildings, that might limit how much that happens, but that first point can be super tough sometimes for the attacking team to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you touched on it with the attack of the Titans, like holding that forward position. It's kind of tough to regain control of the point if you don't kind of all die in tandem. You have to not stagger, and then maybe you get a recontest on the point, but it's definitely the place to hold because you have that high ground looking over the attackers as they do try and either move under the bridge or, you know, attempt to find picks as the Ashe, the Widow, the Sojourner, or whoever. But yeah, it is definitely tough. The map geography doesn't really aid to another attack. Or another defense, I should say. An attack from the defensive side onto the point.
It's definitely tough, and I think that, you know, as teams continue to play Paraiso a little bit more, they will start to recognize, you know, what rotations can they really use here, where are the best defensible positions, and some teams have figured that out, and I think Vancouver Titans could be one of those teams. Look at how Aspire is playing so far back on that staircase with the rest of the team pushing forward, and that really does just buy him so much space to just, you know, hit the other team.
Ooh.
Huge shutdown.
Wow. What a dynamite. Yeah, One followed up that perfectly. Okay, Paris. Okay, Paris. What an easy attack so far. You can half leave the Genji too, so you staggered a little bit. Yeah, that'll do. I mean, a few extra seconds will buy you enough time to potentially cap.
I think they're going to cap. I really think that this is just Paris Eternal getting the first point.
Yeah, no recontest.
Yeah. They're too far away. You can see Titans are just kind of gonna wait for this door to open, and then they're going to end up just getting set up on the high ground where we saw Paris Eternal do so as well. Nice shutdown for Paris. Jaws, this is what we were talking about. For Paris to find success, they have to go after Aspire, and that Dynamite with that Genji dash was just the perfect way to do it.
Oh, dear. Mirror looked one way, looked the other. He was getting damage and he didn't know what hit him. Oh my god. Paris Eternal the Hitman-style assassination there on Mirror.
Oh my gosh.
Right, they win this first fight. Pretty important too, because now they can grab this high ground away from the Titans as Khan moves the payload.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see Dove get really nice value, especially when, you know, you do have Vestola on the Junker Queen able to make a lot of space, and Dove can also play around these buildings. And look at that, Aspire gets so low, has to use mobility to just back up and wait for Aztec to give him some health back. Masa as well. This is exactly what Paris needed to do, and that's pressure out Aspire to stop him from getting consistent damage.
They are still on low ground, which is quite unfortunate. They look like they got chased out by King. There's the rally for the Paris Eternal. They're going to throw Bob in. A two-man knockoff from Bob, and Dove has the bring in his sights. Even Coach gunning towards them. I mean, why not? The rest of your team are doing just that. Paris Eternal win yet another fight, back to back to back. 4 minutes?
Ooh.
They're going to sink this payload in.
Yeah.
This is ever so slightly quicker than the Paris Eternal here.
Yeah, these fights are going really fast, and there's no recontest available for the Titans. Even just the pressure of moving forward, Eternal really are going to try to set the pace of these fights. The tempo's great.
Okay, tempo being upped once again. 120 beats per minute right now. Both blades have been drawn. King's a little bit better. He's able to cut Wub down, and now the Paris Eternal forced back to their spawn. Still with 5 minutes in their time bank, you're still pretty happy if you're Paris Eternal. Now you just have to battle the spawn hold, which is has proven quite troublesome for a lot of teams, to be fair.
It is, but you've got the sound barrier, you've got the commanding shout. Vestola could even open things up with the Rampage. I'm not super worried at the moment for Paris being able to get out of spawn.
Oh, Mirror. Wow, not sure where Khan was in that situation. I think he moved up to maybe try and find a pick or help Vestola out. Nice reflect kill by Wub, killing Aspire with his own railgun shot. Can take that any day of the week. I mean, because you're holding so close, can take Aspire quite a bit of time to move back, so Paris Eternal can just charge ahead as 5. We'll see what Titans want to do in response to that. They've got the Rampage, Rally available. Maybe they just play back wave for Aspire to get into a decent range. Vestola setting up maybe for a big Rampage here. Everybody's in his sights currently, cowering in the corner. Axe gets launched out, but Mirror with a ginormous anti after that Rampage. 4 people on the Eternal hit with that one, but Dredro clutch enough to use that sound barrier to stop that anti-heal from meaning anything. Mirror does chase Khan down somehow and enter their spawn, but you know, Paris Eternal taking control of the payload again.
Okay, they don't lose too much time here. They can still match the time bank of the Titans. And most importantly, they held on to that critical Rampage to be able to partner up with something like the Blade, and of course that Bob coming online for Dove too. When the Vancouver Titans really don't have a whole lot to be able to respond to that with. Masa is still 20% away from that sound barrier to be able to be used as a reactive tool.
All right, they're going to start off with Bob and fight. Nice boop, actually, by Masa. Not sure where the Bob is. Oh, he's still providing covering fire. We'll still take that. The Mirror was caught unawares. All right, the Paris Eternal still moving that payload with 2 minutes and 55 seconds to go. They force Titans all the way back. Oh, no, not quite. Dove ends up dying to just a left-click headshot. Not every day we see one of those. Now it's the Titans' turn to try and go on the offense. Deflect used by Wub already. Has to run back to his spawn. The Paris Eternal changing from the Ashe and going Sojourn instead to try and match Aspire.
Yeah, I think that's really smart, just for knowing how much point presence the Sojourn can provide in terms of just having that one-shot potential.
Oh, the Rampage comes out, only hits King. Masa responds with a beat. Wub still trying to damage those over shields down, or over health down, but can't quite get it. The Paris Eternal is still stuck in this corridor. It's only Vestola that's out of that small room. So he's completely isolated, bullied by the support line of the Vancouver Titans. With 2 minutes to go, Paris Eternal have got another couple of attempts to get that third checkpoint, but Vancouver, double DPS ult for this next fight.
Yeah, so this has to be an eco push here for Paris. They've got to get those DPS ultimates out of the Titans' bank. And then also, you can see that Mirror and Aztec are also very close to getting theirs as well. So hope that Paris can kind of take all of those off the table. But with that pick, they might not need it. Titans could probably just win this outright.
How does he keep doing this? Woo! Every single time a fight starts, Spire's already found a kill. That's exactly what you want from your DPS players, especially in this meta. Like getting that consistent damage with the railguns and consistent picks. You just burn so much time. They burn a minute off their time bank already. Like I said a minute ago, they had 2 minutes. Now they only have 1. Funny how time works. Funny how the spawn room works too. Paraiso Eternal right now quite familiar with that mechanic. Aztec does end up falling, and so does King. So spawn hole for the Titans looking a little bit weaker than they want with only that Lucio healing. But with 60 seconds to go and a nice 180 shot from Aspire, they should be good.
I think so. I mean, Titans at this point as well, they didn't need much more than the Dragon Blade, and so that leaves everything else that the Eternal were hoping to get out of their bank still available. And when you have only 40 seconds remaining, less than that, this is Paris' time. They've got to have a huge sound barrier here from Dredro to sustain.
Oh, you've got to be careful though. Aspire's got the railgun. That overclock, not going to do too much to that Lucio sound barrier, but Khan's the main focus. He was in the front line again. Khan dead, only Dredro to heal the rest of the team. Paraiso Eternal have 17 seconds to get to the point, and Word was the only person with an ult, and he ends up falling to Mirror. 10 seconds to go. Eternal trying to get back to the rest of their team or trying to touch the payload. It's their last attempt to sink this one in. They had 5 minutes on this last stage, but it doesn't look like it's going to be doable. No, it is not. Dredro falls, and the Titans are now on match point.
Yeah, that was so good from the Titans. And I really had like high hopes there, Jaws, for Paris. That was a quick take for point A and point B, but it was point C where the going can kind of get tough there, even more so for the attacking team, where they just couldn't break the stronghold that Titans had over that third point. Really rough stuff here for Paris so far, but we're still, 2 maps in. Maybe we've got another one, maybe a couple more in the pocket.
Yeah, I mean, Paraiso Eternal are hoping so, but the Titans improving week on week. We're going to jump to a break. We've got potentially only the last map left. We're going to Escort, we're going to Circuit Royale just after this. Time is running out to get the Royal Knight Mercy skin. The Mid-Season Madness Legendary skin is on sale now through August 19th. For just 200 League tokens. Don't miss out on your chance to own a piece of Overwatch League history. Yep. It looks a pretty clean skin. And do you know what else is pretty clean right now? Is the Vancouver Titans. They're against the Paraiso Eternal currently. This is quite an anticipated day, August 14th, to many who are counting down. And right now, the Vancouver Titans up 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking good in terms of kind of fulfilling the prophecy, I suppose, that everybody has in their heads. And so one map away, we've got Circuit Royale coming up, but we also have to talk about the performance of both of these teams overall, because I do feel like there are some stark differences when it comes to just how much Aspire has really been setting up the Titans for success.
Yeah, it's hard not to kind of just talk about him over and over again when you're in the game, right? And I'm like, yeah, in general, you're like, oh yeah, I want to mention other people and stuff, but it's always Aspire that's finding these first picks. I mean, this is the comparison stat card for Paraiso right now. Hero damage done on the Sojourn, 12k to 2k. It is pretty brutal.
Yeah.
20 final blows, 10 railgun kills, 7 o'clock kills, and 6 deaths. One more than Dove, so Dove's dying less, but unfortunately he's not having the same impact as Aspire is currently.
Well, I think the other big caveat we need to kind of give for context is that Dove did also play the Ashe, and so now those Ashe stats are not added into this, but I think this still gives you kind of some data to back up your eye test of just how impactful Aspire has been opening up these picks for the team. And I think that Paris has started to figure out that they can't keep letting Aspire get away with this, and so we did see a very quick takedown with Dove and Wub on that first point of their attack, just to be able to slice Aspire out of the way, and they need to continue to do that.
Yeah, that's definitely worth keeping in mind that he did play mostly Ashe on that map, so it's still, yeah, obviously it's still pretty brutal, but we'll see if he wants to stick with the Ashe or he wants to go to the Sojourn. Let's have a look. We are on Circuit Royale, of course. And Paraiso are on the attack first. The Vancouver Titans, one map away from making history right now in the Overwatch League history books. I mentioned at the top of the show, they've not won a game for a year and 8 days. And back then, in 2021, that was against the Boston Uprising, and it was a 3-0. So they are looking to cement themselves this season with a singular win, and maybe more to come.
I think they can do it. I do think they can do it, and they're getting closer, but it's not over until the Omnic that might be singing next to the piano sings. So you gotta just keep kind of focusing on the things that are making the comp work, and for Titans, that's just gonna be continuing to play together as a team, playing close, and really allowing everybody to do what they need to do here. Close hold, and we've started to see this way more often from the Western teams on circuit, but close has not worked out for them right now.
No, it has not. That was a nice dynamite by Dove. It's exactly the same way they opened up Paraiso, to be fair. A dynamite and then Wub like dashing on to the people that were on fire. Last time around they killed Aspire, but this time it was a bit more of an important member to their backline in Aztac. So yeah, the Titans weren't going to be able to hold on for that for long without their brig. So look at how far they're holding now. You might as well. There's a lot of room to give if you are the Paraiso Eternal, but they don't want Titans getting any sort of angle on them.
No, and Titans are still going to be able to take this defensive corner that we typically see the Sigma hold at, and so this is still very strong for the Titans to be able to take as a position, but who's going to get picked next?
Oh, Vastola, he's already used that commanding shout, and that speed helped him get back to the rest of his team. A lot of deflect damage. I think there's a crazy amount of deflect damage in this meta, it feels like. It feels like Genji's are deflecting more damage, and we've seen more reflection kills than ever. I don't know if that's a stat that can be backed up, but yeah, it's just a feeling. Dove ends up going down to Aspire again. And with the Titans killing Wub, yeah, and Vastola, they're going to be good to hold this corner. Paraiso turned off to a good start. They did push it all the way far, though. And at the end of the day, like Circuit Royale, you do need to win these 2 fights around these corners, because the spawn point, it's not super close, but your ability to impact the rest of the fight is quite large, since you have a lot of high ground that you can kind of look over that first checkpoint with.
Oh, there's a good example of that deflect damage that the Genjis are able to get, and it has a lot to do with the fact that there's not a shield. You know, usually you might have the Sigma, but yeah, Genji can kind of play that role too a little bit.
Uh-oh. Oh, Wub tried to go to the deflect kill on a Spire there. He was already pretty low, so King just finished him off with a dash. Dub dead, and yeah, the payload's making its slow way back. Wow, even the blade pulled from King. All right, who's feeling himself?
Sure, they were lined up, may as well go ahead and take a swing at it. But yeah, that payload is just moving so far back now that Titans, like, they can keep taking these more aggressive holds. And Paris have a long way to go in order to get back to that cart. They can take a lot of poke damage before getting there. You can see, though, that they are trying to get set up with some of these ults, but Titans have the perfect response in the sound barrier and the rally available to just shut that down.
Oh, there's the ult from Mira. Dive straight to the back line, but the beat in response from Dreidre is good enough. Mira went super low even before he actually finished his rampage. There's the rampage that Paris Eternal were looking for. Festola tagging Masa and Aztac. They've got 60 seconds remaining. They do have a tank over the Vancouver Titans right now as Wub tries to clean up some of these kills, but he goes pretty low himself. Has to duck behind cover. Paris Eternal unable to secure the frags, and the Bob, yeah, he's got a fairly decent spot, I suppose. He's checking out some new hats in the hat store, I guess. Mira can't end up trading as Wub pulls the blade. Forces at least Aspire back, as there's a meter and a little bit to go before they cap the point. There it is. And they had 3 minutes to their time bank.
They still have a bit of time to work with, and now that they're also able to deny some of that high ground from Titans, getting set back up on the defense, this could be another point capture here for Paris. They had to use everything that they had available to them, though, in order to make that point work, and Aspire is coming back with the overclock, and also just a ramp to shoot straight down.
It's pretty easy if you're Aspire right now. Oh yeah, it doesn't shoot the deflecting Wub. Oh, he's right behind them. There's one headshot. Can he follow with another one? Yes, he can. Wub dead. Vistola cleaves him, but he already made his mark on the fight.
Even trying to get away, though, this is going to be a futile effort, it feels like, when you know that King is there to try to shut down your exits. Huge stagger onto Paris, and now Titans are bullying him right back into their spawn. They do make a nice quick getaway and just kind of get set back up to go again, but that's a minute taken off the clock already, Jaws. 2 minutes remaining, and Paris have to go in with these supportive ultimates to sustain them through this Dragon Blade.
Yeah, that's the big benefit right there. There's the blade from King. As soon as he heard that rally come out, the target is Khan, and Khan's already used the bash. But the late beat from Dreidre is going to be good to stop King doing any more damage. He's getting bullied in the front line. Deflect up just in time, and a pack from Aztac will keep him healthy in the fight. Mira, with a commanding shout, pushes them forward, but a little bit of a stalemate is occurring. But a Masa beat just in time to save Mira, who's going so low, and now the cleanup can begin. Dove gets killed off, and with a minute to go, the Paris Eternal have used both support ultimates and now have to rely on the blade and the rampage to make any headway.
At least you know that Titans don't have a supportive response to that, but with the aggressive stance that they're taking, this is going to be the final fight, and Vestola goes down.
You can't lose any more here. Mira is right up in their face. They're kind of ignoring him right now. They're trying to get an angle on Aspire or get an angle on somebody, and I don't think I've ever seen a defensive team hold that far back. Okay, there's the kills we're after, but the car has moved once again, fairly far back, and that's a big problem. So now, because they took so long to touch the point, Rose, it's another fight for the Titans. They are quite literally gifted a free one.
Yeah, they will be able to come back and get another recontested, and this will be the final fight. Can Paris turn the value that they have into actual progress? They've got 4 ults here.
Ooh. Rampage is Aspire and Mira, but is the follow-up there. The Paris Eternal have double DPS, and they're still moving the payload, and both Dreidre and Khan end up going down. So now Wub's forced to go in. You got nothing left. Khan died with the rally. as overtime is ticking through. No second checkpoint for the Paris Eternal, as both their supports get picked early on in that fight by Mira.
I think what's really tough about the Rampage from the Junker Queen is that you have, it has a lot of movement. You know, and as soon as you pop it, it's like old Reinhardt shift where you can't cancel it. So you just go, you know, W key into the enemy team. And if your team isn't there to back you up, that isolates you from being able to protect them. And I do feel as though sometimes maybe Paris mismanages the use of that ultimate in terms of just being able to follow up and also communication. I don't know, Vestola just seems absent sometimes.
I can feel it in my bones, I really can.
Is it time?
The Titans, on August 14th, may be looking at their first win in over a year. I'm excited. I think Vancouver fans, they are probably elated at this current moment in time. That was okay. That was pretty brutal. Oh man! Wow. Can't time a rally 2 there is. Yeah. I mean, Vestola dove pretty aggressively with the Rampage, and the rest of his team had to kind of peek around the corner and try and find something. But yeah, tough follow up.
That's what I meant when I said that, right? That sometimes it just seems it's a little bit miscommunicated, but I think all in all, too, Titans are just playing so tight knit as a team that. I think it's just Titans really just performing to an exceptional standard today.
Oh my, jeez. Yep. Dirk switch over to the Sojourn, only to send straight back to Spawn. Works in the back line, and he gets taken out by Marsa. Okay, no forward hold, I will say, by the Paris Eternal. Man, he do be clicking heads though. He do be right-clicking people. His aim is nasty.
And I think that's really impressive too as a Sojourn in this meta is what are you charging your railgun on, right?
Oh yeah.
Like there's no shield to just give you free alt charge unless you're looking at the Brigida, and even then, like that's such a tiny hitbox. And so it is just very impressive that Aspire is able to charge up so quickly and also convert that over to picks.
All right, Paris Eternals, second little defense here on this final corner. No ults, it's just a plain 5v5. Well, now 5v4. It's double falls. Now it's a little brawl in the Tuxedo shop or whatever kind of shop this is, and it's a brutal brawl at that. King with a triple kill with double resets. It's getting closer and closer. My heart's beating. My hands are shaking. And Aspire's still getting the headshots like Titans. Their 5-minute time bank now to push to the top of the hill.
Oh, that's so close. The victory is there, Jaws. They can taste it. They just have to keep doing what they have been doing all series, and they may just be able to secure the bag. Aspire still looking for another pick.
He's hunting, he's searching. Oh, Dub spotted an opening. This King was pretty low, but now Wub has been ascended on. There's the blade from King with a commanding shout. The target is Vestola, and he goes down. Nice dash away from Dub. Can he turn this fight around? Can't Dub fall? It is only Dredro. They're looking, they're hunting, the payload moving. A couple of meters to go, and this will just be it. Dredro used the beat at the last moment, and the Vancouver Titans have done it. They found their first win in over a year. They are now 1-13. August 14th was the day many were counting down to, and the Vancouver Titans can let out a sigh of relief. I mean, look, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is the legacy, but maybe the Titans have started one right here today.
They absolutely could have. The team is all smiles right now and also full of emotion. Mir looks so pleased to finally have gotten a win for the team. King as well, I wish we could see his cam. I hope he's feeling a bit more confident in that Genji play that he was able to debut this weekend. What a strong opening for him.
Oh, let's go, Mira. Head up high, 1-13. It's not a crazy impressive scoreline, of course it's not, but this could be a start to a long journey of dubs later down the line. They've looked good, and at the helm is Aspire, who's going to be our player of the match. I mean, yeah, look, the stat card we brought up earlier, it was extremely brutal. Dub did play a lot of that Ashe. But, I mean, look at the man he was facing. Aspire's Sojourn is just incredible.
Woo. Yeah, that tracking, whether it's, you know, just using the mobility and still being able to follow targets, and then also just charging up those railgun shots to make some quick work. Aspire has been such an influential part of this team's success today, and you know that it's because he is able to capitalize as well on the space that Mirror was making, and also just the fact that the support lineup could keep him alive and King could follow up too. Great stuff from the team all around, but we do have to give special commendations to Aspire.
Oh yeah. I think he deserves a night out. Oh, man, I was going to say a night out on the town, but that sounds I sound about 50 when I say that, but that's okay. Yeah, 10k damage per 10, 14 final blows per 10, almost 9 railgun kills per 10, crazy overclocks, deaths looking pretty low. Like, yeah, no, Aspire definitely deserves this one through and through. What an unbelievable day. 2 teams now on 1 and 12. The Vancouver Titans, though, man, okay, they look good. All right, yeah. They look good. I don't want to hear any ifs, ands, or buts. They look good. They had some of the hardest teams to face off against in the very beginning of this year. Like, they played the Shock twice. They played the Rain twice. Like, yeah, now's their time.
I think
now's their time. They build off of this.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there. Right, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We got the Mayhem versus the Shock up next.
Good one.
Okay, push, chase.
I'm not for breakthrough. Wait, don't touch. Don't touch? What? No,
that's toxic.
13, are you stupid?
Let them see me. He's stealing.
No! I'm going to spawn.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break, everybody. I'm here joined now by the player of the match, Aspire from Vancouver Titans. Congratulations on the win, man. You guys finally did it. I gotta just start off this with, I feel like people don't like this question, but it's mandatory. How are you feeling? It's your first win of the season.
I'm feeling great. It wasn't too competitive of a match, which honestly we kind of expected, but it definitely feels great to get our first win.
You just said that you sort of expected that this was going to be an easy win. Why is that? Was that sort of just like judging by how Paris was struggling in their previous match, or what sort of led you to that conclusion?
I mean, it's not so much how Paris competed yesterday. It was more just like us being confident in our own gameplay. We knew Toronto is definitely a strong team this month, so even though we lost yesterday, we definitely kept our confidence going into this match today.
Right, and I think it definitely showed. Like, not only confidence, I feel like coming into this stage, Vancouver Titans, you guys seem like a totally different team. Like, first match you guys lost, but it was super close, and even today you guys finally got your first win. So, what sort of improvements did you guys make? Do you think the meta is also helping as well for the Vancouver Titans?
I think we made a lot of improvements on the team level, but I do also think the meta is kind of falling into our hands a little bit. I think the heroes individually help our team a lot in like competing against better teams, and yeah.
All right, and finally, my last question is, you guys finally got your first win, so how confident are you that you guys could sort of keep this momentum going throughout the whole stage, or even throughout the whole season?
I do think that we're going to have a lot of momentum going to the rest of the stage. I think looking at ourselves now compared to even just a month ago, we're much stronger of a team, and I think the better team should be looking out for us.
All right, well, Aspire, thank you so much for the interview, and again, big congratulations on the win, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Out of all the matches ever played in the Overwatch League, that was one of them. Vancouver Titans, 3-0, the Paris Eternal. As it
you
was
did it, Matt. Are you proud of yourself?
By Matt.
The Earth can slow down now.
Go back to this original speed.
Go back to what you're doing.
Okay.
that was a one-sided affair.
Yes. When I kind of thought about this match, like ages ago, I didn't expect it to go like this, if I'm honest. I thought it would be a bit closer. But the Titans look like not like when we were talking before, we're like, oh, like this is a match, so they're like, not the worst, right? I think this is a team, I'll go. I guarantee we see this team in Toronto. I got this team qualified.
What makes you say that?
I got this team qualified. Look, they played good against Toronto the other day.
All right.
You heard Aspire said Toronto looks to be a pretty good team right now. They come in, they dominate, take care of business today. New York, Houston, Washington, Boston. Those are 4 winnable.
Winnable?
I don't know.
They're winnable.
You got to get to what?
Any game's winnable.
You probably got to get to 3-3.
So they're going to win 2 of those out of New York, Houston, Washington, Boston.
They may win 3.
They are. They're going in the top 4 seed.
They might win 3.
You think Vancouver's gonna beat Houston and Washington?
Well, they could beat any of those teams, Danny. I wasn't isolating anybody. What are you talking about? Are you giving your power rankings here, Danny? What are you talking about? I kept it ominous. I didn't know who they were going to beat.
I'm all aboard. I'm all aboard the Vancouver Titans. They, as someone who's done this for Washington Justice for like 2 years, I'm totally down to do it for Vancouver one stage. I can give them one stage of hyping them up.
Get a little flyer.
You know what? Let's all do it. Yeah, let's all hype them up.
I'm not guaranteeing it, but Matt's guaranteeing Vancouver to
Scott's going to be the party pooper. I'm guaranteeing it.
I agree with Matt. Like the Vancouver Titans, they look like a complete roster, and we saw it in the last stage, regardless of just this meta. I agree with Aspire. They've been making changes. They've been making the right steps. I think the additions have been good. Like Aspire's Sojourn is crazy. We all saw that stat card, which was kind of, obviously take Dove's stats out of the equation because that was a small sample size. That was a little unfortunate for Dove, but like Aspire, he's actually looking like one of the best Sojins in this meta right now, and he is putting up top tier performances. I completely agree with Matt. I would be surprised if Vancouver doesn't end up there, and if they don't, I think we're going to see some stumbles in other directions.
You can find a way to 3-3, I think. With
I think so as well. Yeah,
games. I think you find that.
Now we just need to find a way to commemorate August 14th next year and moving forward.
Yep.
There's a second August 14th.
Well, no.
Oh, no.
The next time these two teams match up is October 9th.
Oh.
Which some people know is August 14th too.
That's what I call October 9th all the time.
But, who knows? like, if this meta keeps going this way, like, can we keep seeing this type of play? I don't even know. Like, the Titans, I mean, look, you could be talking about them coming off of, like, a playoffs in the Summer Showdown. Like, maybe it's
a win streak.
Maybe it's that, well,
I don't know when the last time Vancouver was on a win streak. It was like years ago.
Yeah, but they looked legit. They looked legit today. And they looked legit against Toronto as well. So it's not even like you're just judging off of this one game.
Right. Yep. The Plat Chat power rankings are going to be wild this next week. It's going to be
most accurate power rankings
to be
available.
Unbelievable. That does it for the matchup we looked out for in August 14th. Any final words before we move on to actual regular matches?
Regular scheduled content.
Regular scheduled matches.
For Paris, I think it's obviously like they don't look in sorts for this meta right now, right? Obviously some games coming up, like you're trying to probably if you're looking at the Paris Eternal right now, you're thinking about like, okay, how do we qualify for like play-ins, right? Like it's like the 10th it goes down to. So
I mean, you're like 4 or 5 wins away from Boston and Washington that are chasing.
Right, yeah, you're not like completely out of it. Like to actually just get a chance to play in, which is what you should be looking at.
When we talked about Vancouver, if you win 3 or 4 matches this stage,
you some league points in summer. Yeah, who the hell knows?
Vancouver can easily make those play-ins. The play-ins at the end of the season is 10th. That's the cutoff. So only 3 teams don't make that. Vancouver, as you just said, if they get a couple more wins, they're out of it. But if you're Paris Eternal, they're the exact same record, but they look to be in a much worse position right now. They need to take a serious look at fundamentally what's going wrong. They have players that have been good in the league. They went 8-8 last season. Something is breaking down. Obviously, there is people you can point at, but like this needs to be the situation where you go, now needs to be the moment for change, because after this, it's probably going to be out of the.
If the Titans were to make the overall season playoffs, like Rogers Arena there in Vancouver, they put up a Spire statue outside.
Retired jerseys and stuff. Oh man,
get that man a parade.
This is a moment to remember. It's either the start of a very incredible run by the Vancouver Titans,
I think
or
it's
the last time we ever talk about them making the playoffs.
No, it looks like
either
it.
way.
I think we're going to be talking about this team. No.
Okay, we're going to be talking about the Vancouver Titans for a long time moving forward. Absolutely. The start of something great here in their first win, 1-13. Good on you, Vancouver.
I believed.
Anyway, it's time to talk about our next matchup here today. It's going to be the Florida Mayhem taking on the San Francisco Shock. From 2 teams that are 1-13 to Shock that are 13-0 and are aiming for
other end of the spectrum.
Longest win streak ever recorded in the Overwatch League by the Vancouver Titans, funnily enough, in 2019. Taking on the Florida Mayhem today. Now, the Florida Mayhem, they had a pretty nice run against Illinois Spitfire earlier this week. Do we think they can carry that momentum forward against the Shock today? Shock looked vulnerable against Justice.
Well, this meta is the great equalizer. Like, it is pushing these teams close together. If you're the Florida Mayhem, this is your best shot of taking down the San Francisco Shock. They didn't look flawless. They looked to be having issues. They went down 0-2 in the start of that match. If you can catch them off guard, we know Shock has historically started slow. Florida Mayhem are the team to kind of do it, and in new metas, that seems to be where the Mayhem thrive, and they had a good read on it so far.
Danny, what does your upset meter say? 1 to 10.
Upset meter?
What does your upset
Let
meter
me remind you, Danny, the Shock are 13-0.
Upset meter, I'm going to be honest. 3.
Percent? All right, 3 out of 10. Sorry.
Oh,
like 30%.
I was like,
if it was any other
3.
team, I think I would have rated it higher. But it is San Francisco Shock, like Matt said.
It's 1 to 10, but it's also like the scale you use to measure earthquake, so it like multiplies as you
go
up.
Yeah. So if it was a 9, that's all.
If you need to find out what 3 out of 10 means, we'll spend an entire segment on that. But it'll be great.
You can see a path to a Florida Mayhem victory, though. I think Scott laid it out. I think it's possible.
Keep it short, Matt. What do you got?
Although 13-0 for the Shock, I think it's possible Florida makes this one close.
All right, it's possible Florida Mayhem makes this one close. Matt says that the talent is there for the Florida Mayhem.
Anything's possible.
Now, let's not wait any further to get into the second matchup of today. And for all the action, let's throw it over to our Titanic duo. It's Jack and Rose.
You know for a fact Johnny had that written down from week 1, day 1 of the Overwatch League. Seeing the list of people that are going to be casting together, you know for a fact he's been waiting to slip that one in there. Just saying. That's fine.
Hey.
We actually talked about that before we started casting, actually, when we found out we were casting together. It was like, it's going to happen. One day they're going to make Jack and Rose.
All of the pieces coming together, mathematical equations. Yeah, people are starting to figure that out. It's cool, though, because I think it's also appropriate looking at the match that we have ahead of us, Jack.
Who's the sinking ship?
Yeah, so
who's the sinking ship?
Exactly.
I'll put you on the spot. Who's the sinking ship right now, Mayhem or Shock? Ship?
Shock.
Shock of the sinking ship.
Maybe.
Okay, Pred's locked in. Rose is going against the San Francisco Shock. All bets are now off. Rose, you know what? That's fine. Maybe they are the sinking ship. I'm not sure. Look, they did reverse sweep the Washington Justice. And they, like Scott said, they didn't look flawless, right? There are some weaknesses there.
See, that's my point, right? And I think that Florida Mayhem is one of those teams that's kind of on the up and up. And for San Francisco, there's not really a whole... where else do they go, right? They're literally undefeated. Like, it kind of only goes down from here, I feel like, unless they're able to keep that up throughout the season. But we got to talk about the Mayhem, because this is the roster of players that have just been consistently improving and getting better, Jaws.
Yeah, they really have. The mid-season-ish edition of XC has been looking great on the Sojourn. Someone has been very impressive. Like, people were hyping up for a long time, and now Mayhem are doing very well. They took down the London Spitfire in a 3-1 series at the very start of the Summer Showdown qualifiers. And Checkmate is one of his best heroes in the Genji. Like, it's looked good for the Mayhem.
Yeah, like, this is their meta. And that's exactly, you know, someone's play style ends up fitting really well with the Junker Queen. And I think that also when you get to go back to basics a little bit in terms of Overwatch with the fundamentals of staying as a team and also target focus and target priority, I think that's also where RuPaul and Animo can really shine. You know, Animo is going to be taking the helm as that veteran player in the support lineup, but you still have RuPaul and Sir Majed that are really going to help, I think, get into sync with the rest of the team. So this is the perfect meta for Florida to become cohesive.
Yeah, let's have a look at their opponents for today. Is the San Francisco Shock, still undefeated. 13-0, could go 14-0 today. The regular season has been just a blast for them, it feels like. They're just skipping through a meadow full of winds, you know? Like, at the end of the day, they are still the San Francisco Shock. You cannot count them out. And to be honest with you, you can't count out the organization either, because no matter who's on the roster, they always seem to do well.
It's true.
It's a bit insane that you go from like a different year and almost a completely different lineup to still like the same levels of success you'd expect from the San Francisco Shock.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's quite nutty, honestly. Let's talk about Kalush real quick, because Kalush had a little bit of a slower start in the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, he hasn't. So this is why I know my opinion is unpopular, okay? I was also put on the spot, but I do think that Kalush, it just doesn't seem like he melt well right now with the Junker Queen. Like, it's just not, something's not quite clicking completely. And there's moments of brilliance because Kalush is such a strong tank player. And I think everybody was blown away with how well the Shock did in the first stage, especially being a way new roster to get put together last minute. But yes, there's something about the Junker Queen meta that really isn't quite clicking. And I think it has to do with the play style, as it's just, you know, can San Francisco really go aggressive enough with it?
Man, it would be quite a historic day, honestly, if the Mayhem managed to disrupt the win streak, the regular season win streak of the Shock, and the Titans also catch their dub. Like, history in the making today.
Maybe.
Feels like in these first two maps here on this beautiful Sunday. Ilios, our first map in the series. We'll go Midtown, Junkertown, New Queen Street, and then rounding out on Busan, we need to go to map number 5. It feels like it's going to be a close one. I can imagine a lot of the predictions, at least in the community, might be a little bit more swayed towards the Mayhem, more so than the Shock, just on recent performances at least. Of course, the Desk and the Pick'ems, they did end up going with Shock, but I think opinion is, you know, pushed a bit towards the Mayhem.
Maybe.
They're currying favor.
There's definitely one point that I think we need to talk about, and that's going to be the Xe versus Kilo game, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to be something that people need to keep their eyes on. Xe was considered one of the top Sojourns in the West, in that top 5 leaderboard for a while, and then Kilo as well, I think definitely can do some heavy lifting for the team, but it has been a bit more of like the flashy proper show. But is that flash and is that razzle dazzle really going to win you a team fight when a lot of teams have noted that this meta heavily revolves around you playing together as a team, and sometimes I feel as though Proper does go off and play a little bit on his own, a little bit too often, just because it's something that he's been really good at before.
Ooh, that was a good knife pull actually from someone. Pulled Kaluge right in. Kilo's doing a fair bit of damage, mind you, on the sidelines, and having this off angle, sending disruptor shots in to the masses. It's fairly devastating for the front line of Florida. He's eventually going to spot it out, but not before the rest of the Shock do win the team fight. Florida Mayhem pushed all the way back. They are playing the Ashe on this map, Rose versus Kilo's Sojourn. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to set up Ashe than it is a Sojourn.
Agreed.
It's strange. People have been speaking about it for the last, like, I'm not going to say week, maybe week, but the last few days at least, this Ashe versus Sojourn kind of conversation. And on the longer range maps, it feels like Ashe is just a little bit better with the consistent damage of Dynamite.
Correct.
Because you have to aim down sights and you have to set yourself up, it can be difficult in these smaller ranged maps.
Yeah, it just takes a little bit longer to get yourself in a position to use it, that's for sure.
Well, someone going pretty low. There's a disruptor shot, slowing someone down. It's not the biggest slow in the world, but it's still a sizable impact if you do get it on a couple of people. The ticking damage is quite intense too if you do stay in it, so it forces you to move at least. And now the San Francisco Shock with another fight win, up to 50% and a blade coming up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, look at how fast Shock are outpacing Mayhem towards those ultimates. Especially when Proper can go in and just use the blade with no hesitation. No response.
Yeah, you called that one perfectly, I think. It's done. Oh, in the spawn door. Oh, see you, Animo. Oh, hello.
Huh?
They know the Genji's there.
Oh.
Oh, he hit Checkmate's head, actually. He's good, though. He's good. Yeah, Animo, RuPaul, no support ultimates whatsoever, so very cheap fight for the Shock.
Yeah, they are starting to come up to them, though, and then Finn and Violet as well can match that, but yeah, what... Oh, they forgot? Oh no, Checkmate's isolated now.
That's kind of nice, though, from Checkmate. Forces the Shock off that high ground. So now they're forced to fight on the Florida Mayhem's level. Kilo spotted on the side, but look at that. Who's the rescue? It's Violet. Bit of reflect damage. Someone save Private Kilo. Actually, he doesn't need saving. Easy 1v1 win. Rally and beat from the Florida Mayhem as they do push on forward. Violet looked like he was going to dive into the well there to give Florida Mayhem a kill, but no, not today. The San Francisco Shock off to a good start. 100-0 and well.
Yeah, really clean. I mean, Florida just didn't get a chance to set up, and that's something that Florida feels like they need. You know, when they played against the London Spitfire, I felt like a lot of the reason why they were able to win that match was because they ended up setting the tempo of these fights. But because Shock capped first, it's way harder to do that as the attacking team on a control map. If Florida Mayhem are able to take control of the point, I think they will set themselves up way better, knowing that they're also playing the Ashe, and we just talked about how much more setup that does require versus something like the Sojourn.
Ruin's a little bit better map for it, though, to be fair.
True.
We'll see if XC can diff Kilo here. Now, the only problem is, last round, they were able to, Shock were able to get that blade up so quickly that the Florida Mayhem were just, the tempo was just completely out of whack. Like their support ultimates, they both came online at the same time. But
right.
before Shock had like 80%. Then the Florida Mayhem had to use it. Checkmate did pull them back quite smartly enough, but it was really too much impact at the end of the day. Went for the 1v1 on Kilo. Like didn't really have a firm grasp of the match, but that could all change. Point has been unlocked as the San Francisco Shock look to cap, but Florida are here. They're still fighting the 1v1. Proper pretty low as he dashes to the back line of the Florida Mayhem. But Kaluge, the first person to go down for the San Francisco Shock. They do end up training for RuPaul, but as long as they keep XC alive, they might be good. Violet with a double kill. No one's count the point just yet, but with someone alive and well on the point, Should be pretty easy. And there you go. Mayhem are on the board.
Yeah, and Mayhem capturing first is huge for the Ashe setup. And I think also, you know, as you talked about, the ultimates got a little off kilter. This provides a little bit more to Florida as well to kind of catch back up when they need to. And so, you know, Animo's already so close to that sound barrier, and Checkmate as well. Probably getting the Blade online before Violet gets the sound barrier.
It is pretty close. Only 20% to go. Maybe Violet gets the sound barrier now. He's still killing people. He's still doing Violet things, even on the Lucio. Him and Proper have just been a tag team in the back. Can they find much else? I mean, Proper has to back off. He's only got the Lucio healing. Oh, Kilo comes back, kills Checkmate. Man, this is scrappy, to put it in a single word.
Yeah. And look at that, too. The commanding shout. Oh my gosh, sound barrier.
They use the beat. They use the beat, okay. The Shock are gonna respond in kind with a beat of their own. And now they do end up finding the flip. An early beat from Animo there to save someone and save more capture percentage. Like, okay, I respect it, but the rest of Florida Mayhem couldn't get back to the point in time because they had no speed.
Yeah, I wouldn't call that the best play to make with the sound barrier. I know you've got the rally coming up, and you also have a way more ultimates to kind of pair with that, but it would have been nice to have that overhealth available, knowing that San Francisco also have their DPS ultimates online, and the rally itself alone may not be enough.
Oh, Blade in the spawn. Of course, why not? Checkmate again. Playing Splinter Cell in the backline. Wait, what? Animo's there too? Okay, they both captured a point, which is awesome. You stop a little percentage, I suppose, but Shock. Use Rally, use Blade, hold them in spawn, even Kilo spawn camping people still.
Yeah, you see the axe thrown right past his head. Florida, though, they've got to get in and use these ults. They were able to get quite a few out of the Shock, so this should be a team fight in their favor as long as they're able to rotate through them. Would love to see the Rampage and the Blade and even the Bob just to kind of pressure out the Shock to move them somewhere else.
Oh, there's the Rally to try and counter the old Rampage. Now they're going to need something a little bit more. Axe swing. Oh, nice dodge by Finn. Pity he's already dead.
It's a nice attempt. Yeah, but there will be follow-up and cleanup by the Mayhem. Okay, Xe. There's quite a few final blows for him there. You're gonna build up to that Bob relatively quickly. 25% already on the board for him. And Checkmate held on to the Blade. Especially after getting the rally out of Finn, I feel like Mayhem are in a really nice spot entering into last fight territory. If Checkmate doesn't get, you know, picked. Ooh, that was close.
Or someone, to be fair. He's pretty low too. Proper. Dead. Xe traded. Blade pull. Checkmate pretty low. He's anti. He's got 1 HP. Violet chases him up. 92% of the ball for the Mayhem. The Shock need to touch. Can they get there in time? Violet is the one to do so, but he's left Kalush and Finn all alone on this island. This mega health pack. Luckily, the reinforcements are coming back just in time for the Shock. And oh, RuPaul didn't see that one coming. And now a 2v1. The Junker Queen still pretty strong though. Knife Finn through the shield. But Kilo finishes off Xe. Proper's going to do the rest of the work. Violet, again, coming up rather large on the Lucio.
This is a great look for Violet. I think allowing him to play the Lucio as well, he gets to be so aggressive. And because he's such a sharpshooter too, that translates over really nicely to being able to just kind of get in somebody's face and just, you know, throw some shots at it. But the sound barrier online, Proper's got a Blade. Last fight here. San Francisco Shock looking to close out this round in the map.
Okay, Checkmate with a deflect. Blade pulled in the back line. The Florida Mayhem trying to run. That was close. OT almost bled over, but RuPaul is dead. Xe next on the menu for Proper. 13 HP. Doesn't quite find the dash kill, and in fact, Xe just punched him square in the jaw. The Mayhem are losing the point. Losing the fight on the point, however, as Finn with a whip shot and a rally to end it off. And the San Francisco Shock looking like the same they did in the last couple of metas. Starting off strong with a 2-0.
Really good stuff, and I think that a lot of the pain points that we identified in their match versus the Washington Justice really have started to work themselves out. I mean, maybe, you know, it is early. We still got one map in, and Florida still gave us some really bright moments, being able to capture first on Ruins and then riding that momentum to take it to 99 to 100. But it's, yeah, I can't wait to see what else happens next. Can Shock do it?
I mean, look, the Shock, this is the biggest confidence booster you could ask for this team. They won on Control.
True.
The scores ain't lying. Florida Mayhem still chance to come back. We're going to jump to a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a bit.
Lightning doesn't strike twice, has never met the San Francisco Shots.
Just the depth of talent on their roster that can't be denied. Some of the most hardcore carry performances that I've ever seen.
This is going to be a wild ride. Somehow Violet's going to come to the rescue, get a double kill. Kalu says, how about that one, Chief? See you later.
Dude, his aim is so crispy.
Man, does it miss those? Holy cow!
Sam straights the backline, insta-killing.